Guess what is sitting next to me? A fucking transsexual. Just my luck. Here I was hoping for a hot babe. Why do you need your to be hard on the plane? And why are you upset that the person next to you doesn't make your hard? Seriously, why? What would you do if you just got onto an airplane and you found out that the person sitting right next to you was texting about you? How would you react if you knew that it was specifically about you and the fact that they found you repulsive because you were transgender? This is a nightmare, I know, for quite a lot of transgender people for whom traveling is always a very, very tense affair. And frankly, it's something that I've never actually experienced, even though it's something I've been very paranoid of. So when I saw this video in my feed, it genuinely shocked me. But I suppose in this world, we have to sort of start expecting these sort of things. Let's get into the very upsetting video I saw today, uploaded by actress Tommy Dorfman. Before we get into this video, I wanted to remind you guys that I have new merch. I'm actually wearing some in this video. My style has always been a little gothy and a little preppy, so I wanted to make something that sort of celebrated both of those sides of me. I have a series of polos in my store. They come in multiple colors. Some of them are gothy, some of them are not. If you guys want to go and grab this polo and many, many other things, check out my website, katblaque.store. So this is the post that I saw that came into my feed, and I did not actually think that this was real. Not that I didn't trust that this was something that happened, but it seems so crazy to me that someone was able to sit next to someone who was texting and like with their phone zoom in to actually see what the text messages are about. Like there is something to be said to some degree for me about that and how creepy that is. I remember telling my dad that he was crazy for thinking that cameras could ever be that good. But yeah, it turns out that's where we're at. But let's read the text messages. He says, I am in the first aisle of first class. Guess what is sitting next to me? A fucking transsexual in the midst of going from a man to a woman. Just my luck. Here I was hoping for a hot babe. So one of the things that I think being a transgender woman makes very, very clear is that we live in a society that overwhelmingly objectifies women and is overwhelmingly misogynistic. When you're a transgender woman, a lot of times you end up having the experience of being objectified and then having men apologize to you for objectifying you, but not because objectification is wrong, not because objectification is harmful, not because what they said was disrespectful, but because they accidentally objectified someone who was not a cis woman. The thing I think a lot of people are never going to really understand is that there really isn't a person who is transphobic in this way who is also not to some degree misogynistic. Yes, even the women. Because at the core of it all, there really should not be any acceptance of this idea that women exist to satisfy anyone. It only matters in a culture where women are seen as baby makers. Because really, that's the only reason you have an obsession over their biology and whether or not they're able to fulfill the role of a woman in society. And so I do kind of think that a person who is transphobic will always be misogynistic, and you could fight me on that. I really don't care. Anyway, let's keep going. 2.5 hours of sitting next to this freak. Then the person responding says, just remember, many people you love are LGBT, and this country sucks for them right now. Be kind and fly safe. So, shout out to whoever is on the other end of this message, because yeah, that's kind of the thing you should say to this. I do think it's kind of odd how many people do shit like this and just don't even think about how disrespectful it is, but that tells you how normalized it is to them. That tells you how normalized it is within our society, that they feel so comfortable doing this. The stewardess in first class cabin is hot as hell. See, he needs for women to be sexy to him. I find like white men like this to be so funny. So funny. Because at the end of the day, you're weak. Let's just call a spade a spade. At the end of the day, you're a weak, scared person. And you literally can't entertain the idea of being around someone or something that would challenge your understanding of the world. You are just so incredibly insecure with your masculinity, that you are threatened by the idea of a person sitting next to you who is transgender. And it's funny because I also think that sometimes stuff like this reveals something about people too. Because why do you need your dick to be hard on the plane? And why are you upset that the person next to you doesn't make your dick hard? Seriously, why? Why are you incensed by that to the point where you have to text someone about it, where you have to text a whole group of people about it? I have never thought of my flight attendant being attractive. I've never expected for my flight attendant to be attractive. I've thought about them moving the hell out of my way, but I haven't thought about them beyond that. Men like this, you need it to all pander and cater to you. And that's just so, I don't know. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. I do know it's pathetic. It's pathetic. I think that for a lot of people, bigotry in general, racism especially, it's arrested development. It's like you haven't quite matured. And I also kind of see that in these messages, right? You should be able to, as a man of this big age, be in public without needing your dick to be hard. It is the mentality of an incredibly immature person to think that the entire world needs to pander to you. But within a white supremacist structure, white men are sort of allowed to be immature. They're sort of allowed to never quite grow up and have the sensibilities that literally everyone else has to have to exist around them. She can't even sit there without you doing that bullshit. And that's what I'm talking about. What is normal for her is shocking to you because you live in a culture that is built to placate to you. So full disclosure, I've actually met Tommy Dorfman. If you guys don't know, Tommy Dorfman was on 16 Reasons Why. I believe is the name of the TV show, or 13, probably 13. Girl, what? It was a number. It was one of them numbers. It is a show that some people had issues with. It was a show that I did at the time watch religiously. And we actually met at a GLAAD event. The only one I've ever been to, by the way. Side note, GLAAD, why don't you invite me to events? Anyway, at the time she was, I believe, pre-transition and such a lovely person, such a lovely person. So when I saw this in my feed, it did kind of upset me a little bit. And that's part of why I wanted to make this video. She says, objectively, I know I'm not passing and I'm bricky and clocky, but passing hasn't been the point for me, nor should it be for any trans person. The audacity of this man so blatantly blasting off text about me, sparing you the deeply misogynistic and revolting comments on our flight attendants in contrast to my freak, only reaffirms the choices I've made for myself to feel safe and comfortable in my body and spirit. This does come at the cost of safety and comfort in the world, especially in America. I am lucky to have the life I have, the ability to fly freely for now, and even post shit like this. And why post, you may wonder? Because I can. And this man is an alt-right vampire. And because Samantha deserves her flowers. Also, this is apparently Richard Unger, not Stephen Unger. So leave Stephen out of this. So we got a name. We got a name. You know, right now the world is so weird for transgender people. We are in the middle of what a lot of people are saying is a genocide. And I think that right now, as Tommy sort of mentions, there is a challenge towards transgender people's ability to freely move. And that's something that doesn't really seem obvious to a lot of people, but you have to keep in mind that states like Kansas have essentially made it illegal for you to be a trans person, also have gender markers and identity markers that would match who you are, and also have a driver's license. That is, I know it's hard for people to see, a way that they're trying to prevent transgender people from freely moving. And stuff like this is, I think, very much part of that. There are some people who cannot tolerate the idea of transgender people existing in society. And I do think those people at some point need to recognize that trans people have always existed around you. The reason why Tommy focuses on passing in this post is because for a lot of transgender people, passing is our survival. For a lot of transgender people, passing is the way that we are able to move safely through society without being harmed. You know, like I said earlier in this video that I haven't experienced it, but it's something I've been afraid of for a very long time. And it's something I think about every single time I fly. Like last time when I went to New Orleans with Alexander, I was super nervous, super nervous about going through airport security. And it really shouldn't be that way. I shouldn't have to think about being a trans person and whether or not that's okay while I'm going through airport security, right? Like, yes, check my luggage, check my things, right? But you shouldn't buy into this idea that because I'm trans, I'm more likely to do X, Y, Z, Z, Y, X, and that's why I deserve extra scrutiny. Anyway, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this topic. Please give me your thoughts in the comment box below. Are you a trans person who has dealt with something like this? Someone texting about you when you're sitting right next to them? What did you do in that situation? Let me know. Give me a comment in the comment box below. Anyway, I want you guys to stay hot and introspective. And as per usual, I want you to always remember and to never forget that you are beautiful and you are loved. Bye.